Hey y'all, I'm Paula Deen. You know, sometimes it's really hard to say goodbye to summer's fruits and veggies. So what better way to enjoy them than by preserving them? And I mean literally. And today we're gonna do just that. But before we get started, let's run out to the garden to see if Brandon has any fresh produce for us. And then we'll head back to the kitchen where we're gonna really sweeten up things with a pear honey that's just heavenly. And then we're gonna need something to dip into all that goodness. And you know, my Buttery Biscuit Sticks will do the trick. But that's not all, y'all. Next up, I'm gonna be making a mouth-watering strawberry apricot preserve. And then to finish things up, it's a jelly that'll kick you, my pepper jelly. So come on, y'all, let's get started, cause all day is jelly day. Today's show is all about canning, making preserves and jellies. And you know, if you're gonna preserve these foods, you might as well grow them too. So I'm gonna take y'all to a favorite little secret spot of mine, and it's a little bitty bit of a garden. And I see my buddy Brandon Branch is out here working in the garden. So let's go in and speak to him and see what all he's doing. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Paula, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm getting everything ready in the house.
Oh, good. I'm picking some peppers. We have a lot of jalapeno peppers coming along and bell peppers, and they're in their peak season right now. So I think that'd be perfect for you to make a nice pepper jelly today with.
That sounds wonderful. Explain to me, Brandon, how you're able to plant and harvest such a beautiful garden without using pesticides.
Well, I like to use marigolds because the scent of the marigolds help keep pests away. Also, I've been spraying the plants with a mixture of water and liquid house soap. And that keeps them away. Yeah, they don't like the suds.
Well, Brandon, while you're finishing up your work out here, I'm going to take these in the house and go in and start on this pepper jelly. So in a little while, I want you to come up to the house and taste it.
Okay,
and I want to give you some jars so you can send home to Mama.
Oh, Mom would love that. I'm going to keep
Wouldn't
pulling.
Mama love them? I'll see you in a little while.
See you, Paula.
Look at all these beautiful peppers and jalapenos that we're going to be using. You know, I just love jelly and preserve day. It just brings back the times that I was in the kitchen with my grandmother Paula. And the first one I'm going to show y'all today is pear honey. Now you can see today's pears, I'm cutting them just like a potato that you will make in potato salad. So we're going to start by putting these in the pot. And we're going to add a large can of crushed pineapple with its juice. And I'm going to add 4 nice pieces of ginger. All right, and for those that have never made jellies and preserves, this may shock you what you're fixing to see, but it requires a lot of sugar to make jellies and jams. So this could send you into a coma just watching Paula do this, but it really is required. Would you believe 10 cups? All right, now we're gonna cut that on, and we're just gonna stir that up. And you can see I'm not adding any liquid to it at all because it's gonna, the sugar in the fruit and the pineapple is gonna make its own syrup. Now, when my Aunt Peggy makes pear preserves, she doesn't use the ginger, but she uses actual lemon rind. But instead of putting the lemon rind in there, I just usually give it a little bit of juice. Okay, now I'm gonna move this over to this eye and let this cook down. And you'll notice that I'm actually cooking mine with the lid off because I want them to thicken. I've actually got a pot of pears down here that have already been cooking for about an hour. But you can see the syrup is getting real thick, and I can smell that ginger really going to work in there. All right, that sugar is finally starting to melt in our pears and our pineapple. And y'all probably heard a little jiggling going on while I've been getting all this together. Well, it's actually our jars that we're gonna pour our preserves in. And they've probably been sterilizing now for about 10 minutes. Well, the next thing I'm gonna do is add the rings and the lids. So I'm gonna slip them down in there. And I actually even put my tongs down in there to sterilize them. And in the meantime, our preserves are just a-boiling away. And I let them cook on up to the last minute because you want to fill your hot jars with a hot liquid, because you want to make sure that all your jars seal on you and you've got that fruit good and safe. All right, now you want to be really, really careful that you've got a good grip on them, because you don't want them splashing back in that water and burning yourself or anybody that's around you while you're doing these. All right, so these have been nice and sterilized. I can't tell you how important it is for your jars to be sterilized real good. So now we're just gonna fill these jars with our pear honey. Now you wanna leave about a ½ an inch to an inch on the top of your preserves. And my grandmother taught me to wet a paper towel and then run it around the rim of your jars, because you don't want anything interfering with that lid sealing on you. All right, now I'm gonna come over here and pull this out. And they cool off rather quickly. I'm just gonna make sure that's placed on there good. And then I'm gonna take my ring. I'm just gonna turn it until it's nice and tight. And I'm gonna sit this over here so they can start cooling. All right, so on to our second jar. And look at that piece of ginger going into there. If we've done them properly, these should last a good full year. The important thing is that your jars seal. And the way you know that they're sealed is they're gonna pop. Then you'll know that you've done it properly and all's well. I wanna stop and go over here and give these pears a quick twirl and make sure they're all right. When they are, you can see how the sugar has melted and it's becoming real liquidy. So before we know it, they'll be boiling. When I'm making preserves, I cook them until they're the way I like for them to look, which would be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. Isn't that a beautiful color? All right, I've got all the preserves filled in the jars, and I'm gonna bathe them in the same water that I sterilized the jars in. And you'll wanna be very careful, because these jars are heavy once you fill them. All right, I've got the jars in there. So I'm gonna let that water bath for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now this particular jar right here is going straight into the refrigerator, and we're gonna find ways to eat this up pretty quick. In fact, while I was standing up here, I thought of a way to start eating these up before they ruin on me. I just love, love, love hot sundaes, so I thought this would just be delicious on top of this ice cream. Doesn't that look wonderful? Plus it won't burn my mouth. Oh my gracious. I really don't think it matters whether I bake biscuits today or not. But whatever, that's coming up next. Our pear honey turned out so good. And I can't wait to share this little recipe with y'all because it's so deliciously simple. We're gonna make some biscuit sticks. So we're gonna start with some all-purpose flour and some baking powder and some salt. We're just gonna sift that into our bowl, and we're gonna cut some butter into it, or I could use like some type of shortening. And I've got the butter in little cubes. We're just gonna dump that all in there. So we're just gonna cut that up. You can see the butter is chilled, so you can just cut up the pieces. So now we're gonna make a well in our bowl, and we're just gonna pour our milk in there. Okay, so we're just gonna work that flour into that milk, and a lot of people, especially grandmamas, do this with their hands. Ooh, and speaking of hands, Michael Groover is just gonna shoot me because one more time I have forgotten to take off my rings, so I better do that. I'm gonna get so in trouble. It frightens me to take them off because I'm so afraid I'm gonna lose them. Then I would be in trouble. Okay, now we're just going to put out a little flour. All right, and so we're just going to knead our dough just a little bit, not much. See, that made a real pretty dough. All right, so we're just going to roll that out. You want to make sure you got plenty of flour because you don't want the rolling pin to stick to your dough. Oh, that looks real pretty. All right, so now I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut these in strips because I want them to be kind of pretty little sticks. All right, so we're going to pat these out just a little bit. And we're going to make these just like we would a normal biscuit, but we're just going to cut them a little different so that you can kind of just dip them in your preserves. Okay, we've got our biscuit sticks ready, and you can see they're just like a regular biscuit, but we've just jazzed up the shape of them a little bit. So we're just going to brush those with butter, put them into a preheated 450-degree oven, maybe for 10 to 12 minutes. But don't those look good? Okie doke, and we've got some ready over here. We've got one pan. And they're moving around nicely because that pan was sprayed as well as being cooked on a non-stick pan. So those look really good. While those cool off a little bit, let's move on over to our preserves that we're making. This is one of my very favorite recipes. I have found that it's the simplest of all the preserves, but normally I use figs. Well, there are no figs this time of year, so today I'm actually using apricots. And we're going to put those in the pan along with some sugar. Now, the trick to these preserves is strawberry gelatin. So we're just going to let this cook, and it doesn't take very long at all. I've already got our jars sterilized, and now I'm going to drop in the rings, and I sterilize them for about 2 minutes. And I want to tell you something else that's very, very important. These lids are only for one-time use as far as sealing them. Of course, they're fine to store in the refrigerator, but for preserves, any kind of canning, you always have to start with a new lid. That's very, very important. All right, so I've moved this pot over here, and you can see how quickly those are becoming more of a liquid, and I've got the boiling jars ready, so when we come back, we're gonna take these that are ready and jar them up, and we're gonna stick some biscuits in them. Okay, this is ready and looking good, so we're ready to jar this up, and our jars are just bubbling over here. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit, and I'm going to very carefully lift out the jars. You want to be careful, you don't want to burn yourself. And they actually make a lot of equipment for canning day. They actually have little jar removers. All right, I'm going to take our rings out. Ooh, and those jars are still a little hot. It looks just like strawberry preserves, only the fruit is apricot. I'm going to seal that up, and you'll want to remember not screw your jars too tight because they're going to be expanding and shrinking and all of that. So you don't want to really bear down on that ring until after they've cooled, and then you can go back and tighten them all up. And remember to leave about a ½ inch head in your jar. A few minutes ago, I was making pear honey, and I cooked it a little longer than I would a normal preserve because I wanted it to take on the color of honey, but you can also cook it a little less and have it more the color of the pear. All right, now we're going to process those for a few minutes, and in the meantime, we're going to move over here and make one of my favorite jellies that my grandmother used to make. She used to keep pepper jelly around, and it's real simple to make. So we're going to take our bell pepper and our jalapeno pepper because our pepper jelly is actually going to have a bite to it. I also like making this with a red bell pepper. The red and green together is so pretty. So I'm gonna process this just a little bit because I want you to be able to crunch on that pepper when you're eating your jelly. Ooh, and my gracious, it smells good. So we're just gonna put these in our pot. Like I said, these make great gifts. I remember Grandma giving everybody she knew a jar of pepper jelly, but you can fix up a cute little basket and put the cream cheese in it and some nice crackers and have a complete little gift basket. So to this, we're gonna add the sugar and apple cider vinegar, and we're gonna add some Surto. And this is gonna act as a thickening agent for us. Surto is a liquid fruit pectin. In fact, because we're using this, for some reason it works this magic that's not gonna require a water bath. All right, see how pretty that is? The green's coming alive, but it's not quite as green as I would like it, so I'm gonna fix that by adding just a few drops of green food coloring. Okay, so all we have to do with this is just dissolve it, and it's ready to put in our jars that we have processed. So we're just gonna bring that to a boil, and then we're gonna cut it off and load our jars. I swear I hear one of those biscuit sticks back there saying, Paula, Paula. Yes, I knew I heard it. All right, so I'm gonna come over here since we got some strawberry jam left and just see how it is on that biscuit. It's delicious. And, you know, I think our jars have probably processed long enough. So I'm gonna very gently take these out and set them right up there. Look, did you hear that ping? That was very quick for it to seal that quick. Usually they don't seal that quickly. All right, and I'm just gonna let them sit there and cool. Look how pretty those do look. All right, and this looks ready now, so we're gonna seal these up. Now I have sterilized these jars. So, oh, this pepper jelly looks delicious. Look at those colors. I'm gonna clean that rim real good. When I serve this, I normally just get an 8-ounce block of cream cheese and put it on a little platter, and then just pour the pepper jelly on top of it. So I've got some spreadable cream cheese right here, so I'm just gonna make sure this is good as Granny's. I'm not even gonna wait for it to cool. Oh, doesn't that look yummy? And of course, once it's cooled, it'll be a little thicker than that. This is great for St. Patrick's Day when you're wanting to have everything green that you, oop, did y'all hear that ping? I heard another one seal. That's a very, very good sound when you're canning. Tastes just like Grandma Paul's. When we come back, labeling and decorating. They're gonna make great gifts. When you're giving your beautiful homemade preserves as gifts, you want to jazz them up just a little bit. And I love using a fabric that coordinates with whatever the preserve is. Just remove your ring and put your fabric on your jar so it's got a little dress on, and see how pretty that is. And I also found a gold liquid pen laying around the house, and it looks real pretty to just write directly on the jar. And it's very important that I put the date on these so that the people that I give these to will know how long they can keep it on their shelves. And people are just gonna love the gift that you gave them, because you know what? It's a little piece of yourself. I hope that our time together has helped y'all to realize not only is this yummy to the tummy, it's easy and it's almost therapeutic. And I think you're gonna just love this pepper jelly. If you've never had it before, by all means try it. And you can use the green peppers, you can use the yellow, or you can use the red. And all we're gonna do, I've got just a plain block of cream cheese. And this is my favorite way to eat pepper jelly. So I hope this show has inspired y'all to get into your kitchen with your family or your dog and take advantage of some of the things that are around you this time of year and available. So you know, as usual, Gertie and I wish y'all best dishes from our kitchen to yours. Good girl.